Yeah, the stream deck actually worked for once.
Hello.
Welcome in, everyone, for the first episode of the Digi Podcast. Yay!
It is the first episode. I am VirtualDaikai, but I can just go by DigiKai, Kai, Digi, Virtual, anything you want to call me.
And I am Tatiana Digiko. Dinah, hello, how are you? Okay, so for today's episode, we are going to be discussing the different Digimon seasons, and what are our favorites, and what got us into Digimon in the first place.
That's right. Now, there's a lot of seasons now. I believe I stopped at 8, but now I know there's more. See.
Well, I never saw Ghost Games, so yeah.
9 seasons. Wow, I was really close to that. I thought I was way off.
Yeah, I'm like pretty behind at Digimon. So, why don't we just talk about the a summary of each of the seasons and their title characters?
Sure. Should we go in descending order or start from the very beginning?
Why don't we start from the very beginning?
Right. So, Digimon Adventure, Digimon Season 1, the first Digimon season. Of course, the most iconic Digimon season. You know the characters, right? The main Digidestined.
So, for those of you who watch either the sub or the dub, the main characters, or the title characters, are Taichi Yagami and his sister Hikari, or Tai and Kari. We also have Sora, Joe. We also have Mimi. And we also have Casero or Izzy.
Izzy, and then Yamato or Matt. Which
yep.
Is one of the oddest English dub names, but sure. Yeah, I guess they call him Matt because his name is Yamato, and there's a Matt in the middle of it. So, I don't know. English localization is weird.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Especially when they change the names for all the Digimon. Or at least for most of them anyway.
So, those are all the 8, 7 Digidestined. And
we also have TK. Or
TK, that's right, TK. Everybody forgets TK.
Oh dear.
You came in late, but I think Kari came in the latest.
Yes. Kari was the very last one.
The very last one.
So pretty much season 1 pretty much focused on all the Digidestins. They were all in the summer camp. And then, of course, bad things were happening in Digiroad already. With Devimon and stuff. And so, that was the first time they were actually teleported to the digital world. And that's assuming you didn't see the movie already. But those were actually first. Like the short movies, those were actually first, but actually before the season.
Yes, I've seen the movie, which is... Well, the first time I've seen the movie actually was when they compiled them all in Digimon the movie, which was strange because you had a mix of everything. But yeah, the first movie, I believe, that was before the anime, right?
Yes. So technically, the movie itself, it was like filed between all the different shorts, which consisted of when Hikari and Taichi were young, and that's when they first met at Agumon. It is a lot of fans are debated between if that was actually their Agumon or that Taichi had today, or was this another Agumon? But there are references to it in Try that might have been the actual Agumon. Just he doesn't remember it.
Interestingly enough, that movie was released the day before the anime was released in Japan.
Yep.
It's a fun fact. And of course, it didn't get dubbed till 2001, when the anime had already 2 seasons here in America. But
yep. So continuing on.
Yep.
Once they were in the digital world, there were several arcs they had to go through. The first arc was getting their partners to actually digivolve, because Devimon was pretty much using these dark gears to turn the Digimon insane, essentially, and evil, to follow his bidding. This is actually the first time in where all the Digimon actually go through their champions forms, with Patamon being the very last one.
That's right. Yeah, but forget the whole Dark Gears, Digimon going mad and evil. You had the introduction of, I guess. So from what I was understanding in the original show is that no normal Digimon can really digivolve except if they have a Digi partner, right?
So essentially, in terms of Digivolution, it is said to be difficult for a Digimon to naturally evolve. That takes a lot of experience, and it also depends on their situation as well. So that's why most Digimon, they usually stay in their child form or champion form, and it's very rarely you'll see them digivolve into their mega form. The ones who are bonded to children, or the Digidestined, or chosen children, are a special case, because they use their partner's energy, in a sense, to actually digivolve. Which is also why they can never stay in their mega or champion ultimate form for very long, and always revert back to their child or baby form at the end of the battle.
Yeah, there's a lot of hidden factors as well that I'm not sure if they ever did explain, which they probably did, with the whole courage, basically. Like, they have to be really strong-willed, and then sometimes an emotional moment can trigger a Digivolution, and we've seen it with dark Digivolutions, like Skull Greymon. And yeah, Skull Greymon regarding the first season.
Yep. So, one of the key factors when it came to normal Digivolution is when they first introduced Dark Evolution. I believe this was still around the time with Devimon, and where they realized that the Digimon needed food in order to evolve. At this point, that was when Taichi tried to feed, pretty much give Agumon all the food, because at that point, he was the only one who could really evolve into his champion form. But that also had, let's just say, not the effect that he wanted, and he ended up dark evolving.
That's right, because he pushed them too much, and it seems to be a trend. When your frustration, when your dark emotions take over, the Digimon gets affected. Your Digimon gets affected by your emotions, which is a trend that has been there from the beginning, and it's been as recent as the game Digimon Survive that they touched upon it as well. So it's always been like that.
Yeah, you'll see this trend quite often, especially in Tamers, and then also in Savers or Data Squad. And then there's also the instance when they in, I believe, Frontier as well. But it has a different twist on that a little bit. So after the Devimon arc, actually, let's actually go with the Skull Greymon first. Because of that, Taichi and Naoko were pretty much scared to evolve. Again, for fear that he will lose control, end up as Skull Greymon. At this turning point, my memory might be wrong on this. I haven't seen season 1 in a while. But this is either the point in where they were up against Etamon.
Right.
And
right.
And then they had to go to, what is his name? That little puffball Digimon with the spear. Uchimon or something like that. Yo, I'm about to look this shit up, okay?
I'm also doing it right now, just to remember. So you're right. After Devimon, they do get the Nets back guy that they face is Etamon. And actually, I think it's Etamon that pushes Agumon to turn into Metal Greymon.
Okay, yep. And that was one of the turning points in the anime. I believe this is also the point where they all found out that they needed crests in order to evolve into their ultimate forms.
Right, they needed the crests, I guess, to power up their Digivices. Which is how you get the super cool Digivolution sequence.
Yep. Okay, yeah. So in this point in the series, Edamon, despite how annoying he gets with his Elvis impersonation, he did give our heroes a bit of a challenge. Because of his stupid microphone and stuff, it always seemed to affect the Digimon one way or another in terms of them digivolving. And this was the point when they realized that they weren't strong enough to defeat him.
That's right, because regardless of his very goofy appearance, he is an ultimate, which is actually a higher level than Devimon.
Mm-hmm. And I can't remember if after the events of Devimon, Patamon, who actually evolved into Andromon for the first time, that was actually the same moment that he also died, as he used up all his energy. So I can't remember when exactly he hatched. It could have been within like the next episode or something like that, though.
I think it was within the next 2 episodes, because I think he did evolve for the first time, so they can defeat Devimon, and then yeah, you're right, he reverted back to Egg. That's what I call it, reverting back to Egg.
Yes, a Digitama. Alright, and then around this point, after the many battles they had to go through, I would say that was when Custer or Izzy found these, the Digiworld's version of hieroglyphics, or codes, or Digimojis, within, I believe it's either some kind of building or a pyramid-like structure. And that's where they found Nadomon, who was the one who actually kidnapped Sora.
Right, Datamon.
Yeah.
Man, I forget Datamon. He has such a interesting design.
Yeah, like the name change is like, how did they go from one to the other? So within this point, it's kind of obvious that Nanamon or Datamon wasn't actually the most trustworthy of characters, as he pretty much just wanted to make a clone of Sora, just to get revenge on Enamon.
Yep. Yeah, because it was a weird thing with Datamon, I think, working closely with Etamon, right?
Mm-hmm. And then Enamon betrayed him at some point. And then had him trapped within the pyramid. Which is why he was using, I believe he was using whatever communications he was using with the kids. To get them to help him. It was at this point when Izzy Casaro made the hypothesis that their spirits were in the digital world, but their bodies weren't. So they're pretty much in two different places, which was completely off, but like, whatever. This gave a lot of them the impression that whatever they did in the digital world wouldn't really affect them. Which, of course, wasn't the best mindset, especially with Taiji and how rash he was, and almost getting electrocuted when trying to save Sora.
Yeah, that theory didn't really pan out the way they wanted it to.
No, it didn't.
I knowing Digimon, maybe that's the way they were trying to go for in the beginning, but it changed. Because this was, everything was happening at, like, first. Like, there wasn't no manga to adapt. Digimon was made primarily for toy sales.
Yeah. So, like, pretty much Digimon, when they first came out, they started with these Tamagotchi-like toys, but for boys. And when that grew in popularity, they eventually started making it into animes and mangas and stuff.
That's right. They were Tamagotchi-like toys, which it was like, in the Digivice, you had an egg and it hatched and you fed it and you took it to the bathroom. Kind of like how the Digimon World games are.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So I don't know if Pokemon directly influenced Digimon's decision to go with an anime, but I know for sure that they tried to make it as different as they could from Pokemon.
Yeah, I know that there will be a lot of arguments saying that Digimon copied from Pokemon, but they're two distinct different animes. Especially when a lot of people don't realize that, despite the names in the United States and America, the original name for Pokemon is Pocket Monsters. But the animes both came out probably within a couple years apart from each other. But they're relatively close though.
That's right. It was, I believe, just like a year or so in between one another. Which, it's always gonna spark the rumor that one copied the other, but no, they were relatively there at the same time.
Mm-hmm. So back with season 1, after they relatively saved Swan, that was pretty much somewhat the end of the Edamon arc, where he got trapped in his own dark network. At some point after that, I wanna say that is when Taichi, we could be going out of order, but Taichi ended up back in the human world. And that is when he reunited with his sister. And she knew Agumon. That was one of the turning points in the anime, because you weren't expecting Hikari to actually know who Agumon is, or actually know what a Digimon is. But she did.
Right, and it all goes back to the original movie, the preview movie, I guess, that they showed before the season. That we didn't get in America until another season was airing, so we had no idea.
Yeah. So after that point, and where Taichi realized that he had to go back, despite only, I want to say about a day has passed by, many years. That was when he realized many years have passed by in the digital world. So that was when they realized that the two worlds were not synced. So while he was in the human world, in the digital world, all his friends already split up, trying to find him and going their separate ways. For the better or for the worse, not so much.
Right. They were all splitting up to go try to find him, and then Devimon was trying to trick TK, because TK's a kid. More kid than the other kids.
Yeah, so pretty much all the characters are like around, I want to say like 11, 10, with TK and Kari being, I want to say 8, if I remember correctly.
That sounds about correct. Let's see. Yeah, 8. 8 it was when they were... When she first appeared, it was 8, and I'm assuming TK was also 8.
Yeah, they're pretty much the same age. With the oldest being Joe, I believe.
What's interesting is that Kari was the first, I guess, of the Digidestined that got her Digimon. Her base Digimon was a champion Digimon. Yatomon is a champion, and I know some people forget that because it's a cat. It's small.
Yeah, so that's one thing a lot of people forget. Regardless of how they look, bigger doesn't usually mean define what their level is. A lot of champion or even adult Digimons, they're pretty small. One example is actually Gatomon. She's like relatively cat size, but she's a powerful cat.
She's just a champion, which is just for people who forgot. Champion is the same level as Greymon. So you get, in the other side, you get a huge ass dinosaur, and then you get a cat.
Yep.
That's the difference between the Digimon and, I guess, Pokemon as well.
Yeah, and there's also different variations as well, depending on. So Gatomon is like a vaccine. So there are alternate versions. There you have Mikemon, and then you also have Black Tailmon as well, depending on the environment they grew up in.
Nobody gives love to Mikemon.
No, I like Mikemon, because that one evolves into Bastimon.
It's a calico cat. Who doesn't love calico cat? And of course, yeah, that line goes into Lilithmon or
Yep.
Beastmon.
Yeah, so like a lot of the Digimons, pretty much the thing about Digimon is that any of the Digimons, they could go into and they could branch out to so many different lines that they could go into a beast, they could go to a human, a vaccine could even go to a virus or a data. But of course,
That's
that depends on their environment, their emotional state at the time of evolution and stuff like that. Especially when it came to like they were good or bad.
I always get reminded of that meme, of course, where it has a cat, then what is it, a dinosaur, and then a refrigerator with a minigun, because it's that's how Digimon designs can vary from type to type.
So like this also ties into like the whole dark evolution thing, because there are Digimon, especially when they merge together, can also turn into a really crazy Digimon.
That's true. DNA Digivolution is a big thing. I guess in the second season we see more of it, being explained.
So pretty much after he returns, the first character you see is TK. You try to help him because he is by himself. Pretty much everyone that left him, and that also included his brother, and they never return. This also was the point where we actually see TK and Tokomon fighting because of Devimon. If some of you haven't noticed, this is the point where we are slowly introduced to Vidramon. Or Myotismon, if you botched it up.
That's right, the big bad of this whole show, Myotismon. Also one of the creepiest designs with his mega, I guess ultra, right? In Myotismon.
Yeah. Although there are Digimon far worse than him, to be honest, design-wise. Yeah. But like he is the big bad for the first 2 seasons.
They literally, after Myotismon, they kind of went, we can make it worse. Let's go.
I'm glad they did. So at this point, after we make Tiki realize that Devimon really isn't that friendly as he seems. I
thought the obvious thing was how he looks like Devimon, but
that is true. But then again, who are they to judge any of the Digimon who that by the way they look? They wouldn't know any better.
Because for them it's small, and it's because that means Devimon is kind of cute in a way.
I guess if you can take in account his bad past and how he's usually portrayed in animes. But yeah, it really depends.
He shoots injections at people. Needles. Weird.
So pretty much over time, like episode by episode, we slowly get back to the other characters. So pretty much, you have Mimi, who's caught up in the palace, who's caught in her own princess moment and her spoiledness. You have Joe and Matt at the restaurant. Pretty much hard. Yeah, it's pretty much being slaved to pay off a debt that was way past unpaid already. You have Sora just watching them from afar. Of course, she's the one who overheard Myotismon. And Devimon. And she's the one who's been trying to help the others.
And side subject here, but the music, choosing especially for Mimi around this time, it's still one of the most iconic ending songs.
That it is.
Yeah, I'm talking about "Keep On" by the singer was the actress played Mimi, and I think it was at this point that they used it because it was her. This was her arc when she was in the as princess mode. She grew, and I think that was the moment, of course, that she got her ultimate. The first one who got an ultimate was Greymon with Metal Greymon defeating Atamon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it was it Wargarurumon,
Yeah.
which I think was at the restaurant,
A
right?
new follower has joined the kingdom.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I know Star was the very last one, though. I believe.
Yeah, so Wargarurumon was at the diner. And then it kind of went in order. Then you got EC, then Mimi with her character arc, and then Sora at the end. And that's when, of course, my Otismon makes his appearance officially
Yes.
to them.
And then also he also had his own character arc as well, when he was trapped with that alien. He pretty much had to learn that his knowledge was his biggest asset, and asking too many questions wasn't something that would hinder him. Which is what that dude was trying to make him believe. So that was
Yeah.
pretty much a big development for him right there as well. Pretty much all the episodes when it came to individual characters, those were pretty much their mini development arcs. Which I pretty much liked.
That's right. So Joe was technically the last person to get his ultimate.
Yeah.
Which, design-wise, what ultimate is your favorite?
For
Season 1.
the 01 cast, my favorite still has to be Gatomon's.
Right. Angie Woman.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, Gatomon is the last ultimate.
Yes.
I forget. Gatomon and Patamon are always in the back of my mind. Because then after Joe, it's Patamon, which is episodes later, I think. And in the near the final battle, I think it's Gatomon, right?
Yes. Both she and Padma pretty much evolve at the same time when they learn of the prophecy with the arrows. So that's when they both unlocked their forms.
It is quite a shame that we never got to see Megas in the original seasons. But that's getting way ahead of myself.
Yes. So technically we're still in the digital world right now, not really in the human world yet. So once pretty much they all come together again, that is when they start learning of Myotismon. And the only way to defeat him is actually to go to his castle. So that's when they make plans to infiltrate the castle. But of course, Myotismon is always ahead. He was always a couple steps ahead of them, and had already opened the gate to the human world to find the 8th child. Which, if we haven't all figured by now, that's Hikari. So
right.
So as he left to go to the human world, he did close the gate and messed up the cards. So in order to get into the human world, there were several cards of different Digimon, which they had to go in the right order to unlock their world. If it was put in the wrong order, it could it's hypothesized that it could unlock a totally different world, one that they're not from, like an alternate world, which is pretty much the whole premises of Digimon. So at this
Right, and this is also at the same time that we get the Wizardmon
Mhm.
and of course how he leads into the whole Kari arc, you know.
Yeah. So surprisingly, it was Taiji who figured out the cards. After Izzy figured out that each marking represented a type and a level. When Taiji put the last card down, it did bring him to their world. And that's how they ended up back home. So pretty much when they got back, it is snowing. Because of what's happening in the digital world, it is directly affecting their world. So they did have the issue of how are they supposed to get back. Because I believe Millenniumon, he was where they used to live, at least that's what they believed, was in Hunter View's Terrace. Instead of where they actually live now. So of course they did quite a bit of hitchhiking until they met Sora's, I want to say her cousin. And that was how they got back. At this point, this is pretty much when Millenniumon's been doing a lot of crazy shit. He's pretty much doing, the typical vampire stuff. While also sending his troops to search for Kari, but of course he didn't know this yet. Each of them had copies of the crest and tag. And it will, I guess it would glow or whatever whenever she was around. They would actively show, this is when, at this point, this is when they would definitely show Garamon. And then they will also show Wizardmon as well. And the different interactions between the two.
Right.
So because of her treatment with Gamez or Millenniumon, she didn't remember her original interaction with Wizardmon. When they did find her, he was the one that told her that she was the chosen Digimon. And that Hikari was her partner. Which was why she kept being drawn to her. This was probably also one of the facts that really pissed me off when it came to O2. Of how willing they accepted Garamon. For all the hell she put them through and stuff. But technically she was bad. She worked for Millenniumon.
That's right. I mean, didn't it explain that she had no choice, basically, or something like that? Her ring. Something about her ring, from what I remember.
She had her ring.
Yeah, there you go.
She had her tail ring. That's why she's so powerful. Without the tail ring, she's pretty much as strong as, a child. But technically she lost her tail ring during season 2. The only reason she was pretty much working with Millenniumon was because he found her when she was a Salamon. And it pretty much put her through hell. So it is now the expected to be said if he knew that she was a chosen child at that point, because of her eyes, as he always quoted. But, like, it was revealed later on that he realized fairly quickly that she was the chosen Digimon. This is also the point of the show in where he summoned the dark fog and started separating the children and the adults. He did this purpose in order to figure out who the 8th child was by using Gatomon.
And now they finally, let's see. That when they fight Skullmeramon?
In season 1?
Yeah. Because they fight Skullmeramon near the Tokyo Tower. And
right, yeah.
That's the original kids. I know we're talking about Kari and Gatomon, but I think in the original kids, Gwen kind of went around Tokyo fighting Digimon, basically.
Basically.
You got Kabuteramon and managing to go against Rareamon and Skullmeramon, and which its Japanese name is Deathmeramon, so they had to change that.
Oh, of course.
And then the Pumpkinmon and Gatsumon and Shibuya, and then the fog happens, right?
So, originally Hikari was hiding. But then she willingly gave herself up, knowing that the others were getting hurt because of her. This was how Myotismon ended up getting her. And that's how it was revealed and confirmed by Gatomon that she was the 8th child. The main purpose was this because he wanted to destroy the 2 of them because he knew the 8th child was the one that was supposed to stop him. And in the end, that was actually true. It was all thanks to Wizardmon, actually, who sacrificed his life, taking the blast for the 2 of them. This also triggered, at the end, with his death, it triggered Gatomon to evolve. Automatically. And this is when we actually see Angelomon for the first time.
Nope, dog. Yep, Angelomon at that time, it was an emotional scene with Wizardmon passing. Digimon loves to do scenes like that in almost all the seasons.
Especially the Leomon thing.
Yeah, oh, Leomon. Poor Leomon. Anytime you see Leomon in an anime, you know what's gonna happen.
He never survives. So, you would think that Venomon would stay down. Nope. There is what they call the Time of the Beast. 666. And where he comes back in his mega form.
Right, Venom Myotismon.
Mm-hmm. At this point, I believe this is when they learn of the prophecy, which allows Agumon and Gabumon to evolve into their mega forms. Which allows them to finally defeat Myotismon. And then you would think that would technically be the end. For that season, anyway. That is the end for that season. With Bionismon. Now, while this was all happening, you have the Dark Masters in the digital world. They are causing quite a bit of a mess there. When the kids realize that the digital world is in trouble, because they can see the digital world from the sky. That is in that point where they actually go back. And that is when they actually meet the Dark Masters, and to learn that they're no match for them. And that is, for the remainder of the season, pretty much is that arc in where they each have to defeat each of the, what was it, 4 Dark Masters?
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, 4 Dark Masters, with the main, I guess, leader of them being Piedmon or Piedmon, whichever. The clown. The clown guy.
Yes, Paimon. So pretty much the Dark Masters are very powerful Mega level Digimon. So you have Paimon, Mega Seadramon.
Puppetmon.
Yes.
And Machine Dramon.
Yeah, so those are the 4 big bads. So pretty much what they did, they created Spiral Mountain, which each one they controlled over prevented Digimon from being reconfigured upon death. So normally when a Digimon dies, they are reborn in the Village of Beginnings, or Primary Village. But when the Dark Masters came and pretty much caused havoc, it pretty much took over the digital world, they stopped that. Primary Village was pretty much all the Digimon were dead and didn't come back. So what the kids had to do, they had to defeat each of the Dark Masters. With Paimon actually being the very last one. Because, he's the more crazy of that of all of them. And the more twisted one. So of course they leave the worst for the
yeah, he turned out to be an even bigger bad guy than Myotismon. And even crazier. But yeah, Spiral Mountain. Not as fun as it sounds. It's not an amusement park.
No.
And it's kind of a dark theme, because remember, this is still technically a kid's show. So basically, you got Dark Masters that wanted to permanently kill Digimon. It's extremely crazy.
Mm-hmm. Compared to Digimon Survive, that was pretty much very mild, though. But like, yeah, the dark themes are... They might seem subtle, might go over kids' heads, but they were there. It's like a common theme in all the Digimon shows, actually.
But in the end, they do defeat the Dark Masters, including Piedmon, but then they kind of went into... The Digimon creators kind of went into crazy mode and made one of the most disturbing Digimon.
Yeah, Apocalypse.
Yeah, Apocalypse. You could just know by the name it's not a fun Digimon to be around.
No. See, he's the worst of the worst. He was the one behind the Wall of Fire. He could pretty much destroy everything. He destroyed the crest, and he even pretty much wiped them out from existence, essentially. At this point, after some talking, the normal encouragement stuff, that was when I realized that the power wasn't in the crest. It was within them this whole time. And by this, and their own convictions, they were able to bring themselves back and actually defeat him. And that is pretty much the overall summary of season 1.
Overall, nostalgic wise, I like Digimon season 1. I would say it's a close 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 maybe. Just but for nostalgic purposes.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
The music in Digimon is great.
Depends which version. Depends what version you saw.
I'm talking about the Japanese.
Okay, yeah.
Well, it's hard to judge English music when all they do is just go with the Digimon theme the whole time. The one that goes Digimon, Digimon monsters.
Digimon are the champions.
Which is a good theme, but that's the only thing they had.
Yeah, that stupid Digimon rap.
Oh god, the one for the movie, dude. Oh. That was something. I mean, watching it for the first time, I just kind of like, okay. First of all, it goes for too long, too.
Yeah, definitely. I could have done with, like, just listening to the Japanese versions. At least they have variation.
I've watched it, actually. Original Digimon season that I've watched was in the Spanish dub, which they dubbed over the Japanese songs, which is why I'm more nostalgic for them.
I don't think I ever seen the Spanish one.
Yeah, they back then they were just dubbing in the just everything, the dubbing over to Spanish, including the songs, which is why I grew up with the iconic songs. But I of course know Digimon, We Are the Champions song. It's hard to get out of that.
Yeah, I pretty much watched the dub version when I started out. Yeah, so repeated theme, season 2. So before we actually get into season 2, there were a series of games called Antidote and Tag Tamers. These games were the Wonder Swarm games, which were not unfortunately made in into the US. So US players never got to play those games, and it's rarely talked about. Not even a lot of Digimon fans know about it. But these were a series of games that primarily talked about Ryo Akiyama, who was a tamer. One of the many first games, this was a pivotal point in where they introduced one of the big bads, Millenniumon. He's one of the dark gods. Could pretty much manipulate time and space. So you can understand why he was like a very powerful threat. It was also stated that he was the partner of Ryo. Of course, neither of them knew that. All we really knew was that Millenniumon was obsessed with him. So throughout the game,
of course, Ryo is the most recycled character in Digimon history.
Oh yeah, he is. See, like, I would have loved that they actually stayed true with the games, but they really didn't. Oh, I'm getting to that. Hold on. So, throughout the games, he first appears actually fighting Millenniumon, who pretty much was dividing the digital world and trying to conquer it all. Pretty much within the first couple of series of the game, he actually defeated the Taichi and his team. They're pretty much all a stone. So Rio had to go around not only saving them, but also saving the digital world without even being partnered with a Digimon. This is how he ended up getting his title as the legendary tamer. Because he could use other Digimon, train them, and actually use them to fight the enemy, instead of relying on a partner, like Taichi and Agumon, or like Hikari and Gatomon. Well, technically they could use their Digivices to evolve a Digimon, like they did with Leomon. You rarely see that in the anime. So after he saves the team, this is also when they have a series of the next couple games, and where they actually introduce Ken Ichijoji, but as a kid. This one involves tag tamers, and where Millenniumon is actually back, and then this is when he and Ken are actually in the digital world. This is where Ken actually meets Wormmon for the first time, after Millenniumon split the digital world in half. So it's like he created two different digital worlds, essentially, and they had to use this machine in order to communicate with each other. Towards the end of this game, this is essentially where Jugra's evolution, or DNA evolution, is actually introduced. This is where Pailujamon actually comes into play, because he is the one who actually defeats Millenniumon in these games. And towards the end of the games, of course Millenniumon doesn't go away. He had planned to use his dark spores at Rio, so they could always be together, so he could control him. Because he's just twisted like that. But instead, Ken pushes him aside and gets hit instead. I hope you all know where I'm going with this. This does lead into the anime. So, after being sick for a while, eventually when he gets better, he does go home. But his personality starts to slowly change. Towards the end of the game, which is the next game, is, I remember what the title of it is. It's the tournament, I think? D tournament? Yeah, the D tournament. This is when Rio actually leaves his own universe. Because essentially, the Holy Beast brought in all these tamers for other realities to fight him, to show who will be the best, who is the top tamer, to actually be partnered with one of the Holy Beasts. And it turns out it was just a training thing, because Millenniumon was coming back. And he was the only one to defeat him. You could really feel the betrayal in that. So, when he went alone to fight Millenniumon, there was an explosion and they all believed he was dead. But in reality, Rio ended up in a completely different universe with Edic, which is the original computer program. So you kind of think of, when I say computer program, you could probably think of Yggdrasil as when he's described as an orb. Something like that. And he's like, in Edic, it's all the way from the digital world past. So pretty much he got sent to the past. But when that happened, he lost his memories. And that's like a whole nother thing right there. And where like, this is when he actually meets Daisuke. And this is also when he meets Takato from season 3. Of course they don't mention this in the anime, because why would they? And several other characters as well.
Of course. This all comes from a Wonder Swan game.
Yeah. And towards the end of that, Rio does eventually remember and does defeat Millenniumon. By doing this, the Digimon that Edic gave him as his, quote-unquote, his partner Digimon. The two of them merged together. and turn into an egg. Or the Digitama. This is why he's completely uncontrollable in season 3. When he turns into Cybergemon? And where like yep, and where like he's not able to be reasoned with at all. That is the reason for that. And towards the end of that game, they do have a cutscene in where Ken comes back to the digital world. Not as himself, but as the Digimon Kaiser. And that leads to season 2.
And then, for some reason, Rio likes took up a lot of cowboy stuff while that was going on.
That was just poor creative decisions, okay? The creators who did Tamers didn't really look at the games. That was very obvious. Because the entire development arc was in the games. And they didn't even want to reference that at all. So that is why the Rio in the anime and the Rio in the games are kind of like two different people.
Well, that's also, you gotta also take into account Digimon Season 3 was made by a completely different team than Digimon Season 1 and 2.
That is true.
It could be that they were leading to something there with Rio, and then when the guy took over for Season 3, like, it's stupid.
But it also could have been that they never even bothered looking at the material as well.
They probably did it. Yeah, because Digimon Season 3 was its own thing, and completely, kind of.
Yeah, but this is probably what threw a lot of people off when they actually learned about the games. It's like, you had a character using the name, you're just putting him in there, but then you're completely twisting him around. Making him lacking the development he had. Yeah.
The same exact design. Could have changed him around.
Mm-hmm. So, this is where we're going with Season 2. Season 2 starts off with, of course, the Digimon Kaiser. This is set, I believe, 2 or 3 years after the events of Season 1. All the kids are older, and TK is introduced to starting his school. He actually, after the events of Season 1, he actually left with his mom, who pretty much, I'm assuming that she was traveling around because she's a reporter, I believe. And then this is when they actually come back to Obadiah, where everyone else is. In this season, we are introduced to Daisuke, or Davis, Iwari, or Cody, and Miyoko. I forgot her English name. Oh, Yoli, that's it.
Yoli.
So those are the 3 new characters that they introduced in Season 2. Along with Ken, of course.
Controversially, Season 2, some people might not like Season 2 overall.
I love Season 2.
I love Season 2 as well. My favorite Digimon comes from Season 2, which is Beamon.
Same!
I love Beamon. But, Season 2, especially in the dub, the Japanese version, one of my friends claims the Japanese version is the same, but in the dub, they kind of, dialed up the cheesiness by a ton.
They did. It really did.
Some people might not like it because how cheesy it is.
I don't know. I liked it both versions. So, there are certain things in the Japanese version that probably didn't work well, but it worked well in the English version when they changed it up.
I like the season overall. It's one of my favorite seasons. Yeah, it's one of my favorite seasons just because they introduced DNA Digivolution as well as the Digi Eggs. The Digi Eggs were like great, I guess. Breath of fresh air.
Digimentals.
Digimentals, Digi Eggs, sorry. The Digimentals.
Or the armored Digi-Eggs.
Armored, yep, Digiball. And the song was great.
Oh, yeah, it was. So, in this season, as Digikai said, this is when they introduced the Drago's evolution. But this is later in the thing. In the series. After Ken is defeated.
It would say this series is split up into seasons itself. The first part and the second part. The second part is when they introduce the Digifusions or Digichakras. The first part was dominated solely by the Digimentals.
So the reason for that is because the Digimon Kaiser had built these dark towers along the dark rings, which was actually using the code from Devimon's Dark Gears. Which this prevented the Digimon not only from digivolving, but with when those either rings or spirals are on the Digimon, it controls them. And pretty much turns them evil, and pretty much they do whatever the Digimon Kaiser says. So, this whole essential arc, because Ken was essentially being influenced by the Dark Spore the entire time. This essentially amplified all his dark thoughts and pretty much brought it to life. It even made him
really evil kid. He kicked Wormon. That's 0 out of 10.
Yeah. Yet he's a super sweet kid once he's once the spore isn't affecting him anymore.
He does have a bit of a redemption arc as well, because he feels bad for what he did.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so like you said, he prevents Digimon from digivolving and pretty much nerfs the original season team.
Pretty much, yeah.
Season 1's kids, yeah, they can't really do anything because he nerfs them. So that's where the second group comes in, with TK and Kari now being older.
Yeah, so essentially, all the kids, minus the older Taiji's group, they have the ability to use armored Digi-Eggs, or the Digimentals. This allows them a new form of Digivolution that isn't affected by the Dark Towers. And allows them to not only stop the Kaiser's control Digimon, but also destroy these towers that he's been setting up.
And it's a cool concept because it sort of like borrows powers from the crests, which in turn you can see how they were inspired by the original Digidestined. So of course every Digimon has 2 different versions because they split the cast into 2 basically. I mean, they divided it by 2. Like, instead of 7 Digidestins, there were 4 basically, while not counting TK and Kari.
Yeah, essentially. Now, fast forwarding to the... Pretty much this whole arc is just like, you know, them trying to defeat the Emperor. And them trying to figure out who he really is. Which eventually they do find out, but he already escaped to live in the digital world permanently. Because his parents were too much into, oh, he's a genius, blah blah blah, he's famous, blah blah blah, type of stuff. Poor parenting, might I add. So at this point, you could really get the sense that he's really lost touch with reality.
He is wacko.
So again, this could all lead back to the dark spore thing. Which is why a lot of the Digimon, and you'll find out later when I talk about it, were after him because of that dark spore. Because it originated from Millenniumon.
Which is also a nice little throwback to the game when he used Chimeramon.
Mm-hmm. This was towards the end of that arc, when he actually created Chimeramon, but realizing that he couldn't control it at all. This is at this point where Wormmon, desperate to save him, showed Daisuke, or Davis, to the Digi-Egg of Miracles.
Golden Digi-Egg.
Mm-hmm. This allowed Vmon to evolve to Magnamon.
One of the Royal Knights, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Oddly enough, is Magnamon considered a Mega, or is he his own category because he's a Digimental?
Both, actually.
Really? Let me see. Because I know he's a Royal Knight, and all Royal Knights are Megas, but he's the only one that I'm like, wait a minute. Magnamon has a cool design, by the way. Yeah, wow, you're right, he's both. Wow.
I have done extensive research when I write stories, okay?
I didn't doubt you. I'm just like, wow. I thought he was either one or the other, and not both.
No, like a lot of Digimon, you'd be surprised. Especially when it's the hybrid ones, they're in multiple classes. So, like for example, we also have Lucymon. He's technically both an adult and a perfect. And then even in his ultimate form, he's categorized in two different forms. Two different levels.
Oh, that's interesting. His ATS antibody version is just Mega. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Which I guess you could say he doesn't need the Digimental. A Beamon wouldn't need the Digimental to turn into Magnamon, which would consider him a Mega. But if he does use it, I guess he's an Armor Mega.
Mm-hmm. Though in retrospect, he's probably not nearly as strong as the actual Royal Knight, though. Who's probably been in the form for like years and decades and eons.
You know, isn't it interesting that, and this is getting way ahead of myself, but the Royal Knights are either like really cool or they're ridden like complete assholes. Either one of the two.
That is a recurring theme, actually. There's never a point where they're actually the good guys.
No, it's weird. But, and it's made up of all these cool, good Digimon that you've, like, at that point, they've been kind of, like, teaching you, this is all good Digimon, like Omnimon and Magnadramon, and I guess there were some bad antagonist Royal Knights in the other seasons, which we will get to, I guess, later on, but it's just interesting.
Mm-hmm. So, after Magnamon actually defeats Chimeramon, this is the turning point for Ken when he realizes that Digimon aren't real. They're not this video game that he believed. Although it was speculated that someone, probably Arikawa or even Arukenimon, fed this information to him. Which is why he thought this in the first place. Because he had no memories when he was in the digital world. Because of that dark spore. Pretty much his memories, let's say, was corrupted. And he could barely remember it to begin with. So, once he was defeated, he actually did go home. And this is the turning point. Yes, suppressed, yes. At this point, he did go home, and this is the end of that particular arc. So this could be speculative, but this is in between those two. This is when they actually had that Digimon movie arc, short, where they actually go on vacation. And this is when they meet Willis. Or William. Or Wallace, whatever his name is. I don't know why they changed his name. His name is both in English.
This is also the first time we see Terriermon before season 3.
Uh-huh. And this is a throwback to the first Digimon, the second Digimon movie they did with Diaboromon. Or Diablomon. Because he's the one that infected Kokomon. Pretty much he went crazy. Yeah, it's pretty much he went crazy.
Or Wendigomon, as the Japanese translation is.
And this also goes back to Dark Evolution. So he did Dark Evolve into Cherubimon.
If you've seen Digimon the movie, the dub, the iconic scene of Wendigomon dancing in the beach to was it All Star by Smash Mouth?
Yes,
it's gonna be in my memory.
Good times.
It's completely random and out of nowhere at the end, but
yeah.
I will forever remember it.
Anyway, towards the end of that part, Davis and the others, and along with Wallace and Terriermon, they all defeated Cherubimon, which is Terriermon's twin brother. Towards the end of that, he did get unfortunately destroyed. Yeah. And no worries. Eventually he did get destroyed, however. But then he was reborn towards the end.
Yes, you know, old Digimon don't really die.
Mm-hmm. Except for Wizardmon, who's a ghost.
Okay, that's different. And Leomon too, right?
Yeah.
They only die when the writers want them to die.
Exactly. So, at the end of this, which is what a lot of people say is the middle point of those two arcs, the beginning of the new arc begins with pretty much Ken having amnesia and him trying to find himself again. This is essentially the start of his redemption arc after he reunites with Leafmon. So the interactions with the baby Digimon Ken has does vary between the dub and the sub. In the dub, they're pretty much yelling at him for being the Digimon Kaiser, which is warranted for what he did. But in the Japanese version, they're trying to convince him that he can't keep holding on to the past for what he did. He can't keep blaming himself. And that he has to learn to forgive himself. So, like, those are completely distinct.
Yeah, there's like completely two different
yeah
messages.
Yeah, so at that point, when he finally reunites, he does go home. And this is when he finally makes up with his parents. Because that's at that point
Right.
they realized that what they were doing to his older brother, Osamu, or Sam, they were doing the same thing to him. Upon that realization, they felt horrible. And desperately...
Of course,
Mm-hmm.
back to the original kids as well. This is also the season they introduced the other antagonist, which was I think was it Mummymon and
Mummymon Arukenimon.
Kanimon, yes.
And also Oikawa.
And of course, now that the the Digimon Emperor was taken down, they can actually evolve normally, but they only evolve to champions. Until this day, we don't know what the ultimates are or anything.
I think they mentioned it in the movie, but I haven't seen it.
I hope we get new ultimate and mega versions of each Digimon in the new Digimon Adventure 2 movie. That would be really cool, actually.
It would. Have you seen Kazuna? Because I haven't. I'm not sure if they actually mentioned their evolutions.
I have not seen Kasuna yet, unfortunately. After 3, I kind of got disappointed with Digimon movies.
Oh!
I gave myself a break from Kisuna, even though people say Kisuna is 10 times better than 3. I don't know if it ignores 3. If it does, I might give it a watch.
Essentially, it completely ignores Try.
Yeah, 3 was, Try was just, I gave it a chance, and then by the middle of it, I was already disappointed.
I watched it in its entirety. Yeah, we don't talk about Try, okay? We don't talk about how horrible it was.
It just didn't need to be the inclusion of Maiko and Meikunmon. Like it was just a bunch of questionable decisions, and the designs were off too. And yeah, that's a whole topic for another stream.
Yeah, so essentially, that is technically true and not really. So any of the Digimons with the DNA Digivolve, they could especially in the games, they always make those their ultimate / mega forms. But they actually do have different ultimate forms. That's their natural evolution. I did remember seeing it in the reference book as well. I just
know
don't
Hawkmon, for example, Siglifmon, Hawkmon, and was it Patamon's Angimon's DNA Digivolution? He has a separate ultimate and a mega, but Hawkmon doesn't.
Actually, I think they did update the reference book and where all the O2 cast Digimon do have their own lines now.
Let me see.
So, for example. So, technically, yes. So, specifically for Hawkmon can do any of the armor Digivolutions. So, this is not mentioned in the anime, but in the audiobooks, audiobooks that are in Japanese, but there are people who did translate them. Any of the Digimon who do armor evolution, they don't have specifically have to armor evolve with their specific egg that they got with their chosen partner. They can evolve with any of the eggs.
That's right. They have side forms for almost all the eggs for all the Digimon that can use the egg, of course.
Yeah, so other than the armor evolutions, specifically for Hawkmon, we're using an example. He can evolve to Sylphimon, with or without Tailmon. So technically that is his natural mega form, regardless if he's with Tailmon or not. And he can also evolve into Valgyremon as his mega form. Of course, they don't mention this in the anime, of course.
No, it seems like something they came up with after.
It is something they did after the fact.
hopefully we get to see more of that in the new movie. Which, by the way, there's a new movie for season 2 coming out, which kind of
Yes.
looks like it's like the whole Wallace story again. But the new Digimon looks weird.
I don't know. I'm excited for it.
I'm excited for it too. It's time they gave him love and not randomly killed him and erased him from history like Tried it.
Oh my god, Try was so bad.
They were like, yeah, we're gonna take these characters and never talk to them again. But I actually let's see. But speaking about season 2, the DNA Digivolutions come right after.
Yep.
Later on in the second part of the season, and it starts, of course, with Peldramon.
Yeah, so pretty much it.
Peldramon, the one before Peldramon.
No, I think you're right. It's
No,
Pailudramon.
It's Peldramon. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Imperial Dramon is the evolution of Peldramon. Okay.
Yeah, so at this point, Davis is when he saw Ken saving Cody from a control Spire Digimon, he wanted him to join them, essentially. Because he could see that he's the more optimistic out of all of them. Which is obvious. Which is a wonderful trait for a leader. Because essentially, he saw that despite the others, he saw that Ken was trying to change. He was trying to fix his mistakes. But of course, the others were blinded by what he did. And didn't really want to trust him as much. Which is understandable. But at the same time, their actions were kind of questionable as well. Also considering how, quote unquote, the others forgave Tailbot as quickly for being evil.
That's when we know also what the next evil bad guy would be, and that is Myotismon again. He comes back.
Surprise, surprise. The return of the big baddie.
And he is mad. He is big mad.
So pretty much throughout this entire arc is the Chosen Children and against Arukemon and Millenniumon. Pretty much the entire time. Whenever the kids stop her with her those controlled Spire Digimon, she would get more and more upset. This ultimately left to Black War Greymon. And then the Destiny Stones. This was another important part because the Destiny Stones in Digimon lore is what kept the balance of the digital world. So with each of the Destiny Stones destroyed, it was causing chaos, I want to say. With hurricanes and tornadoes and stuff like that, and then going out of whack.
And I do have to apologize. I think I might have to go soon.
Oh, no worries. Well, I think this is the perfect time to stop then.
Yeah. And then, of course, in the next podcast episodes, we'll explain hopefully the rest of the seasons. If not, just go 2 and 2 like we've been doing. There's a lot. There's a lot now. I really want to avoid Fusion and Cross Wars because that's the ones I haven't seen. And I won't even count Applemon as a season.
Yeah. Yeah, probably not. So, we will be doing the next episode in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, right? Because we're doing every 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's fine. 2 weeks. Perhaps hosted on my channel.
Yep.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yes, it's gonna be on your channel next. So stay tuned for DigiKai's channel. Of course, I will be posting everything in my Discord and on my Twitter. And
hopefully, I can digiball from my little PNG too.
Yes. So thank you everyone who came today. And let me see here. Did you wanna raid out to someone?
I don't have any specific right now on who's on. I don't have that much. Raid out. You have anybody?
Let me see. Ooh, we have a Jack of Spades. He is doing, it looks like a tier list.
Oh, I like tier lists.
So do I. So I will be putting the raid commands in chat. Again, thank you everyone who came today. I appreciate every one of you. And stay tuned for our announcements for the next episode. For those of you who weren't able to attend today's stream, this will be uploaded on YouTube. Under my podcast section on my channel.
We will link them both on both Twitters, and hopefully you guys like the first podcast.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you liked it. And I will see everyone next time then. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.